Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Nick Ellis.
Let me give you the understatement of this conference. We have a major problem in American higher education today. A major problem. We're in the midst of the greatest collapse of the Christian intellectual heritage this world has ever seen. A couple facts for you. We're shutting down 2 private colleges a week. We finally reached that point where every week we're shutting down 2 private conservative colleges. The average student debt is now close to $50,000 on graduation. According to Barna, 80% of Christian youth will lose their faith at college. As we now know, insidious Marxist ideology has crept into our institutions, colonized our great intellectual tradition, and gutted our universities of truth. But friends, these ideologies are not the root cause of the problem. Wokeness, Marxism, gender ideology, these are mere symptoms, demons that have walked into a house empty, swept, and left unprotected. The problem, my friends, is you. And the problem is me. We have abdicated our responsibility to self-govern the formation of our next generation. We gave the reins of human formation to unworthy stewards. We have outsourced the most precious opportunity that God gave us to invest ourselves in the formation of our children. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to propose for you a new way forward. We can rebuild our national higher education structures, unshackle ourselves from the woke mind virus and government-funded, debt-fueled colonization of our youth, and save both the Western tradition and our sons and daughters, and we can do this in the next 5 years. First, let me ask you, who rightfully governs education after high school? Many of you have fought great battles for the last 30 years for the education of our younger children. Homeschoolers, private Christian school, classical schools, these have blossomed all over the country. We're the most muscular country in the world when it comes to taking back self-governance of K-12. And then college hits. We feel compelled to give over our children. Why must we hand out our best and brightest off to godless institutions far from home? For thousands of years, parents and children, teachers and students, mentors and apprentices forged deeply entwined relationships through which the wisdom and soul of one generation were passed to the next generation. They understood that education is fundamentally about soul formation. You see, God has given mankind the single greatest spark of the divine image, endowing us, man and wife, this miraculous ability to come together and to create, out of nothing, an eternal soul. The most spectacular divine gift that He's given us. So let me define education for you. Education is the lifelong formation of that eternal soul with deep consequences for this life and the next. And soul formation does not end at high school graduation at 18. Who then should govern this formation of the soul? The government? Woke professors and provosts? Corporate HR officers? Transgender secretaries at the Department of Health and Human Services? Are these the people that we will give over governance to? How about this? Let's start with the people who created that eternal soul. Parents, supported by their families and their communities of faith. Everything else is subsidiary. And if our institutions have usurped that role, even with our tacit approval, they become illegitimate. Today, however, we've abandoned this inheritance. The modern pathway for hearts and minds not yet fully formed is to thrust our 18, 19, 20-year-old children away from hearth and home, to remove them from family and faith, to impose and encourage debilitating debt in exchange for what? Cabaret and cultural conformity? No. Parents spend years diligently cultivating their children only to turn them over unfinished to strangers who use the credibility of credentials to push intellectual fads, to twist their minds and now their bodies into godless fashions. You see, there's a modern myth that has been planted in our hearts. The myth goes something like this. If a child stays in his hometown after graduating from high school, he's a loser. That's the myth. You've seen this in your own churches in high school graduation. We applaud and we read the list of all of our children going off to our preferred state or private universities, never to return, and we feel embarrassed when that one student says, "Oh, I'm choosing to stay." Grandparents fret, "Oh, what will my friends say?" We homeschool, classical school parents, we self-validate our choices by giving our children to Caesar, to Daniel's Babylonian teachers, and we long for their approval, and in doing so, we give away our own birthright. We need to tell another story. There's another way. It's a far older way. What if a young man staying local, formed within the faith of his fathers, marrying, building a flourishing business, engaging in civic duty, dying with his grandchildren at his feet, what if this is actually winning and not losing? And what if there was a way in staying to drink deeply from the pure well of our cultural, biblical, and intellectual Christian heritage? It was for this purpose that I created Christian Halls International. At Christian Halls, we believe that the local community of faith is the context in which people flourish, that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, that this is not the province of the few, but the birthright of the many, and that local Christ-centered mentorship is the most effective instructional model. So here's how we do it. First of all, what's a Christian Hall? It's a private Christian community, local, mentor-led place of study, serving students who are transitioning from high school, who are pursuing their degrees or their trades, and a context where the community's elders can serve and be served as they shepherd the transfer of the soul from one generation to the next. A Christian Hall is a place that feels less like a modern university campus with its buildings and its stadiums, and more like a dojo or maybe the old Benedictine schools of another age. Coming out of the University of Oxford, where I did my doctorate, I approached a dozen conservative, accredited Christian universities and offered to partner with them to build a national network of self-governing micro-colleges or private Christian halls in local communities. Students can earn their degrees or their trade certificates from our partner universities while meeting with local groups of students and mentors and learn how to build networks, businesses, and families. These halls today are composed of anywhere from 5 to 50 to 500 students, and the focus is on mentorship-based approaches to learning. Through our university partners, we can now offer over 500 degree programs from high school dual credit, undergraduate, master's, PhD, and skilled trades like plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and general contracting. We're able to set a price that allows for fair pay-as-you-go tuition that eradicates the need for the shackles of government subsidies and non-defaultable student loans. And we built a financial model in which the local community can pay its local mentors well, honor their elders, and keep their best and their brightest. After we acquired all these programs, we then went out to our communities and began to meet with your elders, your retired teachers, your county judges, your business leaders, your sheriffs, your pastors, those who have invested a lifetime in building both knowledge and wisdom. The tragic fact is that whereas some cultures put their elders on ice floes when they're old, we put our elders out on socially acceptable ice floes. We ask them to write checks to our churches. We dismiss them to Jupiter to go play golf. And in the process, we strip them from their greatest legacy, eldership, wisdom, and multi-generational transfer. You see, friends, data and knowledge are not our problem today. We are the most data-saturated generation in the history of the world. And yet, somehow, we are the most foolish generation this world has ever seen. There's a mismatch between data and wisdom. We have prioritized data over wisdom, technocrats over eldership. And I hope that perhaps Christian Hall's greatest contribution will be to rehabilitate our elders, to clear away the mental and spiritual cobwebs to put a sword of wisdom back in re-strengthened fingers. At the local Christian hall, this looks like a small group of students meeting with their mentors, asking practical questions, wrestling with the answers, whether in coffee shops or machine shops. Turn your homeschool co-op into a private Christian junior college, your classical school into a great books degree or classical teacher college. It doesn't take a $100 million building campaign. In fact, we had our first North American Christian hall in 2020, and this year we will roll out 168 community-based microcampuses. The country is starting to wake up. We've set a goal to serve 1 million American students a year by starting a hall in every county of this nation. Are there any Tolkien fans out here? Any J.R. Tolkien fans? I love my Rivendels. I love my Oxfords. I love my Cambridges. I've spent a good part of my life working within those ivory towers and those dreaming spires. But friends, I love my Shires more. And you represent the Shire, where the simple, deeper, older magic learns. And the time has come for us to reassert the God-breathed idea that it is in multi-generational families of faith that governance of soul formation must reside. So here's my call to action. If you're here as a parent, wondering what to do about your 16-year-old kid's education, and you're staring down a large, expensive black hole in front of you, or if you're a godly, competent, skillful person whom God has gifted with knowledge, with wisdom, and a heart to disciple using your skills, knowledge, and abilities, or if you're a natural community organizer who has set up homeschool co-ops, a classical school, a trail life troop, a local political campaign, who embraces civic duty and loves your country, and you know how to get stuff done, or if God has placed on your heart today to help us fuel this new story, to change the narrative of this country of what it actually means to win at life. If you're one of these people, I'd encourage you to talk to us at our booth here at the exhibit hall. Visit us at christianhalls.org, our website, and come build with us. We can't do this for you. I refuse to claim your inheritance, your birthright, your soul formational duty, but we can help you rebuild. Join us, assert the moral and spiritual courage to rebuild self-governance and to take back your inheritance. Thank you, God bless our children, our elders, and God bless America.